Yes, guys, welcome to your World Cup special Chasing Green Arrows. I'm Gianni, today's co-host. I'm joined by Mr. Dean Jones. Dean, how are you, mate?
It's coming home, mate. About a month now, isn't it? So, yeah, I'm very, very excited. Home in time for Christmas, that trophy will be. So that's really good news for us here. As you can see, starting to decorate the house, not for Christmas, but for the World Cup.
Is your Christmas tree up yet?
No.
We got
We got all the England shirts. We got all the England shirts up until the final, and then that can all come down, and then we'll put the Christmas tree up for a few days. Yeah.
One in, one out. Good stuff, guys. We're back in our normal Friday night slot at 7. As the weeks develop during the World Cup, we might change those schedules slightly, but brilliant to have some of our regulars with us tonight that perhaps missed last night's show. If you did miss last night's show, make sure you do go check it out at some point. It was all the starting 11s of the big 9 teams, as well as all their price points, which was really interesting. We picked out the players you should be looking at in all those big teams. But great to see Mark and Haley, Tiffany in the chat as well. Paul's there too. We are very excited to show you our teams later this evening. We have both tinkered quite a bit. So yeah, we've got a lot to get through tonight, as well as we're going to be looking at a fixture difficulty rating, which is quite brilliant and will really help guide you through the teams you should be going big on in the groups, because there has been a lot of chat about, you've got to have Brazil covered or you've got to have France covered. But if you want to play the fixtures and bring Brazilian and French players in on game week 2 or whatever, you can, because we get tons of transfers, Dean, like 2 transfers each week. We've got a wild card that we might end up using in the group stages as well. We've got deep squads because of the substitution rules. I think it's okay to chase fixtures early on, which is why the fixture difficulty rating is so useful. Like, there's some big matchups in that game week 1, like Spain versus Costa Rica. I think we should have a Spanish player in our teams. Very few have.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't got Morata in my team at the moment, but he was there last night and he might yet come back in because of that fixture. We'll see where I replaced him with in a minute. I'm not 100% convinced about this decision at all. So you'll see why that is still a dilemma for me. But yeah, exactly that. Like, Argentina playing Saudi Arabia, not ignoring that. France playing Australia, not ignoring that. England, Iran, we could batter them, but I don't think we will.
Yeah,
I don't think we will. I just think we'll win by 1 goal. So that there is a temptation. So I keep thinking, hang on, we are really look at our team on paper. We are really good. Like, why aren't we going to batter them? But even Iran think there's a few listeners of our podcast that are from Iran, and a lot of them have been messaging me, and they're like, "Look, we're just going to park the bus. We just don't want you to score, and if you might get one on." Like, they genuinely think like the maximum amount of goals we would get is 2, and that's with just throwing everything into defence and trying to catch us with a set piece or on a counter, and that's fair enough. I don't blame them for taking that approach at all. Like, it's a tough first game for them, and they'll just want to try and nick a point. So England, I don't trust, but yeah, the countries like Argentina and France, I think that they're definitely up against opponents whereby they could give them a pasting.
Yeah, I'm into that. And we'll also be talking about chip strategy tonight, guys. I've kind of decided, I think, what I'm doing with mine. That first game week, I'm pretty sure I'm going to go 12th man. At the moment, it's going to be 12th man Messi. That could change. I might go Messi in my 11 instead. I haven't quite yet decided. But then I'm thinking the captaincy boost, I forget its name, will likely be used game week 2. And then wildcard, I'm still undecided if I go game week 3 or in the quarterfinals. That's still up for grabs. But we did get some confirmation today, guys, with the rules, and there has been changes to the rules. It does look like that captaincy switch can only be done once. Okay, so you can only swap your captain once within the game week. So that's fine. It's good to know. But we weren't unsure if it was unlimited or if it was once per day. It's just one switch per match day by the looks of it.
Where are the chips? I can't see them.
Really?
Like on my page.
If you click the little lightning.
I don't have a lightning.
Go. Apply booster. So top left, you should have, when you're on your team page, you should have a little...
On my phone, I don't have that.
Ah, okay. It's like a little diamond with a lightning symbol on desktop on laptop.
See? Okay, see, I'm on like the internet version of the on the phone, but yeah, it doesn't have that, so I've been quite confused. I'm just going to have to go on my laptop after. Okay, that's fine.
There's a lot of people in the chat. Shout out to Harry and Do912 saying Wildcard 2 looks like the shout. I do completely get that. It does look like Wildcard in game week 2 or match day 2 has loads of advantages around using your transfers early. You're able to, I can't quite get my head around it. I haven't fully digested it, but something about if you wildcard in wildcard 2, you can use transfers mid-game week and then they carry over to the match day 3. Read the rules. Anyone in the chat, if they want to elaborate on that wildcard 2, Harry, perhaps you can, because I know you'd have digested it well today. If you can summarize in a paragraph how you could maximize wildcard 2, that'd be really appreciated.
I'm in trouble here. I'm in big trouble. I feel like I'm going to be,
Us nerds.
Yeah, I'm going to be getting violent vibes because I'm just not going to read as deeply into it as some of you lot. But got to stay alert during this episode today because I feel like I'm going to pick up some stuff I really need to know myself.
Yeah, starting with where are the boosters on screen, so I can.
Yeah, well, Paul said
them.
he's doing the app. Well, the last time I checked the app, it was rubbish, and that was a couple of days. So that's why I haven't been using the app. Okay, so I'm just going to download the app. I'll go back to that because I had deleted it because it was so bad. But I'll go back to that.
Yeah, Mark in the chat says Andy Let's Talk is a brilliant video out today explaining the rules. I'm sure he does, but he gets enough viewers, so I'm going to say FPL Harry has probably also got a similar video. Check that one out. Here we go. So Harry's just delivered on this. I knew he would. So you can use your match day 2 transfers mid match day 1, then you can activate wildcard to change for match day 2. Then you'll have 2 transfers to change ahead of match day 3 and 2 transfers to change during match day 3 because the transfers carry over. So just to recap that, you can use your match day 2 transfers, so your 2 free transfers in match day 1 during the match day, if you want to. Then you can activate your wildcard. So as soon as that's over, activate your wildcard for match day 2. Then you've got 2 transfers to change ahead of match day 3 and the 2 transfers you've already made in match day 1 with match day 3 in mind. So effectively, your match day 1 transfers are with a view to match day 3.
Okay.
So you've got 4 transfers to set up well for match day 3 if you want to use it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, match day 3 is typically a tough one, isn't it? Because half the teams will put out completely different lineups. So,
but then is it going to be hard in match day 1 preparing for that team because we won't know who's made it to the latter stages, i.e., who's already qualified. So it might be tricky to try and judge who's going to go full strength and who's going to perhaps play a B team.
Yeah, and even like you think, well, England's last game is Wales, and like that's a grudge match, so that's still important. But if England have won their first 2 games comfortably and are through, what kind of lineup would they use for that Wales game? Do they risk not playing the big names and maybe losing that one, or would they? Yeah, exactly. Like that's where you run into tricky ground, and you're basically guessing.
Yeah. Good stuff, guys. I enjoyed that. That was a little recap of some of our chip strategy. Glad to have your support on that one. I've been trying to work today as well as keep up to date with the news of the changes. The captaincy is the big one. You can only make 1 change. I think we'll probably move on though. I think we got a few features tonight like we usually would on a Friday. So we've still got Against the Obvious, which is going to be loads of fun. We're going to be doing our predictions around the golden boot and the golden glove and dark horses and who we think will get into the final. But first up, we've got to digest some of the news before showing our team reveals. So let's have a look at Fresh Off the Press.
Right, so I'm basically England correspondent, aren't I, for the next few weeks? So my news is just James Maddison, really. So he's not going to play in the Iran game. He's not going to be available after that injury that he picked up for Leicester the other day. It was really played down in the aftermath of him getting it, even though he went off so early on in the game. And he's not going to be fit to play on Monday. And that's a reasonable blow because if you were to look at the 3 group games for England, like you'd think, well, Iran is probably his best chance of figuring, really. Like they're probably the worst team in the group. And so that's a strange one. How much longer than that is he going to be out? Now, it was suggested to me by someone that has really good contacts in the game that England might consider sending him home. Now, I checked that with one of the people I know that are in the England camp right now, and they said, look, that's very, very unlikely. And there's no sign of us doing that at the moment. And look, let's face it, there's 26 men in this squad. Doesn't really seem necessary to send home James Maddison at this point. you've got enough cover, you've got enough time to get through those group games. If you get to the knockouts, hopefully he is fixed by then, surely. And you could probably get by. In the days of 23-man squads, there might be a decision to make here, I think. But yeah, so James Maddison, don't put him in your fantasy teams, certainly, for the time being. But maybe by the time we get to that Wales game, maybe that's the time that James Maddison does
England could
shine.
already have been qualified. Give the newbie
Perfect
a go.
for him, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, be really interesting. Okay, good stuff. In terms of other news, Dean, we've seen a few friendlies. How much should we be reading into the 11s? Like Belgium's 11 was a few surprises. I think we've seen the same with, I think maybe the Dutch. We saw Argentina and Portugal's 11 different to what we had predicted. I guess when you've only got one friendly, that 11 does matter, other than perhaps those that are carrying a few knocks.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of people that you just want to give game time to, get minutes in their legs. And I saw Eden Hazard played 70 minutes, so that's an obvious one, isn't it? You need Eden Hazard to make up for 2 years of lost time. He's adamant that he'll be ready for this tournament. Says he hasn't become rubbish over the past 2 years. Hope he hasn't. I hope he's in good form. But yeah, you look at the Belgium 11. That played and lost to Egypt. It's not their best team. They wouldn't have been at full throttle. It's a really tricky time to play a friendly. You're probably trying tactical bits and pieces more than anything else. Obviously, as I say, like you're going to give a few players minutes and see if they can make an impact. But you just can't read anything into the teams or the results. So don't worry too much about it.
Yeah, I think so. Good stuff. We're going to keep it moving, guys, because we want to get to your questions. And of course, we've still got a load of time to spend on the fixture difficulty rater and looking at our teams. Before we see our teams, I feel like we should probably have a little sneak peek at that fixture difficulty rater because it will give a little bit of context
I want to see that.
Some of our choices. So I actually took this off from a friend on Twitter. Do check out Louis Ashton, give him a follow. He's also one of the writers for Fantasy Football Scout and FF Community. So he designed, he came up with the colors on this. So it's our design, his colors. So he's given green for the easy fixtures, red for the tricky fixtures, gray's obviously somewhere between. So look, teams at the bottom there, Canada and Australia and Tunisia, Ghana, difficult draws. We're not looking at them for FPL. The teams we should be stocking up with in the groups, regardless if we think they're going to win the World Cup or have a good chance of getting to the semis. Teams like Holland, the Netherlands, I don't think we'll get to the semis, but that's fine. I think they've got an amazing group, so I'm going to go big on them. Same as England. Maybe they do get to the semis, but the group's so good. Argentina the same. I'm not so sure about Brazil. Yes, they're greens because they're Brazil, but Serbia, Switzerland are two difficult games. They could have easily been greys.
Those two jump out to me like in green. I'm not seeing green on those two fixtures. Like that's so hard on Serbia and Switzerland. And if that's the sort of thing they would see and they'd pin up on the dressing room wall and say, look, they think we're walkover. So I'm a little cautious of that. Like I do expect Brazil to win the games, but Serbia and Switzerland have both got very different strengths and very different propositions that they're going to have to face. But the other three, I agree mostly. They're all pretty fine to be green. And Poland they are quite a tough team. Like Poland on their day are a tough team. The fact they've got Lewandowski means you can't just write them off. But yeah, it's definitely a different way of looking at it because there isn't an official difficulty rater anywhere. So we haven't got this same way to judge our picks, have we? Like it's so easy on the FPL app to quickly, when you're going to have a reshuffle, go through it, start looking through, and you do take it at face value when you're looking at the FPL one, to be honest, because it's tried and tested. And this is a new model, but it's certainly worth having in our heads. I might even screen grab this to have it on my phone at all times because it's certainly interesting. And even the little green ones that you can pick up, like in that first batch beneath the 7, like Portugal, Ecuador, Spain, and so on. Like they're the ones that you want to be looking at immediately. Like I've got my 11 here. I still don't like it. It doesn't lock till Sunday, so I've still got time to reconsider this.
Yeah, I look at the fixture difficulty rating and go, okay, this looks about right. When I look at my team, I've got triple Netherlands, I've got double England, I've got double Argentina, could become triple. So yeah, It's interesting. It's really interesting. I'm definitely I think Belgium could be. I know they've lost this evening against Egypt, but I do like their first two fixtures. The tricky Belgium fixture is that match day 3, so you can own and then sell. Remember, we've got so many transfers. We can go short-term punts. One of the fixtures I absolutely love is Spain versus Costa Rica. I think Costa Rica are one of the 3 weakest teams in the World Cup, and Spain on their day can go big. So I really like that mismatch on match day 1 for Spain. I just don't know if I'm going to have a Spanish player. I do have at the moment Ansu Fati in my draft. He's 7.5 mid. Just don't know if he's going to start, and I don't know if it's worth trying to be too. I think I'm trying to be too clever with it, and I might sell him and just go for a safer pick. So yeah, jury's still out on that one. If I go Fati, what's your take on Fati? I know Enrique will like him. He likes his Barcelona players, but there's quite a bit of depth there in that Spain team to a lot of very good players in the wide positions. We just don't know who's going to get the nod. Like Sarabia's fancied, has been at times. Asensio maybe has hit a bit of form. You know, Dani Olmo's a good player. Was very good in the Euros, Dani Olmo. I don't know which two are going to get the nod. Ferran Torres?
Maybe it doesn't matter, though, that they're subs for that first game, especially. Because, like, the longer Costa Rica go, the more tired they're going to get. And if Ansu Fati is sub and comes on in the 70th minute and he's against a tired Costa Rica team...
I'd still fancy goals,
you still fancy him for those 20 minutes, as opposed to even if he'd got, the first 60. So I don't think that's going to matter too much. Obviously, for the next game against Germany, you want to be weighing up, is he going to even play at all here? But for that first game, I'm pretty sure we will see Ansu. And yeah, I think that there is a possibility there for a 3-4-0.
Yeah, Mark in the chat says he had Sarabia in the Euros. So frustrating. Right. I'd agree with that. In the Euros, he started, didn't he? And then I think the knockouts, he was dropped. And I remember seeing Spain against Italy in the semis, and I think Dani Olmo was brilliant that day, but Sarabia was nowhere near the team by then. I don't know if he had an injury, but just been dropped, I think. So again, I think he blows hot and cold. But yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe you just go, even if he is benched, I still get an impact sub off Ansu and I expect points. What do you think to Pedri? Because sure, we expect to see him in a midfield 3, but he can also play wide left. And I mean, he's 8.5. It's just a little bit more, a little bit too expensive maybe, but Pedri is nailed for 90, isn't he? One way or another.
Yeah, for sure. Unless they rest him late on and just bring him out to make sure that he's ready for the Germany game, because they will want him for that. But yeah, he's one of the most reliable picks. He's one of the most reliable performers too, despite his age. So that's certainly one to look out for. As I said before in the last show, the Spain-Germany game just jumps out as such a big one. And that's why you really do as well want to watch that Spain-Costa Rica game, just to get a really good gauge of who's performed well for Spain, so even have an idea of who's going to be selected and actually hold their place for a match, which could decide whether they actually make it through to the knockouts.
Yep. Just finally, before we move on to our teams, just going to want to mention, because we didn't do a team preview of these guys. We did the top 9 fancied teams, and Uruguay just miss out in that category. So
yeah,
just to focus on Uruguay, like Korea, match day 1's a really nice fixture. Portugal, Uruguay, we don't know what direction that's going to go in, but if Uruguay won, you wouldn't be surprised. And then Ghana, match day 3. Darwin Núñez, 8 million forward. Should we be giving him a little bit of love, Dean, do you reckon?
Look, my take on him. Like, technically, I don't really rate him, but like, he's an absolute handful, and I think he'll score a goal. Like, yeah,
he'll get chances in those games, won't he?
Absolutely. And like, Uruguay are being glossed over at the moment quite a lot. Every guide you read doesn't write them off, but also doesn't actually give them a realistic chance. And you go through their squad and you're like, I think we're probably underestimating what they're capable of, because they've got unbelievable play. And they've also got some like experienced heads in there who will help them through big moments, they'll probably do team talks half the time. They'll step off the bench and help them over the line in times of struggle. I think Uruguay, you can call them a dark horse, actually. Yeah, I was going to say, can you even call them that? But I think you can, because nobody is tipping them to do well.
Yeah.
Like,
they'll keep clean sheets as well, won't they? They've got some good defenders.
Will, yeah. Yeah, they will.
Their defenders are cheap in this game as well. I might look at their defenders and go, maybe I cover them. Like you can get Oliveira for 4.5, even Jimenez at 5 is a good option, but
Yeah,
4.5 route to that defense is useful too.
definitely it is. And I need to look at, I've got a Gvardiol's my cheap defender. He's on the bench at the moment, and I'm still not 100%. I even want him, so it could be that a Uruguay defender would take that spot. I've got a bit of money left in the bank at the moment too, so yeah, Uruguay's back four even older than Brazil's.
The goalkeeper for Uruguay is going to be, I thought it was going to be Muslera. No, I can never pronounce it, Muslera, but it's going to be Roche, I think. Sergio Roche,
Okay.
who's 4 million. Yeah, here we go. Ero's just said it. Uruguay starting goalkeepers 4 million. I've just checked that. Again, like knowing we want 2 goalkeepers because subs are allowed. I think Pasveer from the Netherlands at 4.5, who I think will start, but it's not guaranteed. He's worth a punt. But also, I look at Roche and think 4 million. Yeah, I might have a bit of that as well.
Wow, that is interesting, isn't it? Obviously, Valverde is the star pick, like the exciting pick. I haven't got him in there at the moment, like Valverde, but I'm still tempted to go for him. Like he's so exciting. He's possibly the star boy, I guess, really of this team. He's 24, plays for Real Madrid. He's had everything in his career, like building towards this moment. He's going to be one of those players, I think, Valverde, that we're talking about for the next 10 years, probably, like as a proper, like serious player. He'll constantly be getting good digits. And yeah, I feel like I've probably overlooked him at the moment, but everybody else should be aware that Valverde
for Uruguay, which I was surprised at because
really?
we're so used to seeing him sort of wide right.
Yeah.
I know he's historically been a midfielder, and I think Ancelotti ended up moving him sort of as a wider forward. But I think for Uruguay, he does play in the midfield 3. I mean, he's not going to be like a DM, but he's going to be, they've got Bentancur in there, they've got Pacino in there, but I don't think we'll see him in quite the advanced positions we see him in Real Madrid. But I don't think that matters too much because I think they'll have a lot of the ball, and I think he'll find pockets between the lines.
Yeah, that is interesting. As you say, like who's up front? I mean, Nunez, Suarez, Cavani. I mean, they're just absolute animals. Like they're just not. They're just going to batter people, and they're going to get their chances, and they'll bully defenders, and they'll also be ruthless and talk about like never say die attitudes. Like those 3 players will just keep going and going and going, and that's the one thing that you'll have about having a Uruguay asset in your team. Like I feel that they are one team that just won't give up, and even if they're plugging away in that final game against Ghana on match week 3, they'll just keep going to the final till they get that goal. I just think there'll be this mentality about them that's a bit special.
Yeah, good stuff. Let's move off this and towards our teams. Let's have a look. How many changes have we both made since Monday night stream? I'm guessing quite a few. Dean, do you want to talk us through your one?
Well, a big one is obviously the third forward there. That did have Olivier Giroud sitting in it last time we talked. It's had various people sat there since. It had Griezmann for a bit last night. I'm still weighing up what to do about Griezmann. At the moment, I've just stuck Jonathan David in. He's cheaper. He's not got an easy fixture. He's got Belgium, but there are some players at this tournament I don't think the opposition matter too much. Canada are a decent team, and they're looking to make an impact. And this guy is looking to make a name for himself. He's one of the best emerging players on the planet. I think it's only a matter of time, maybe even January, before he rocks up in the Premier League and gives us another option for FPL. So at the moment, I've gone with him. He's obviously 1.5% owned, and I might keep him. We'll have to see. But there's a couple in there, like Rodriguez at the back, Swiss. I'm not 100% sure I want him either. Anyone else I'm not too sure about. I think I like all the others. I think I'm happy. I decided to double up on Argentina and go Lautaro. I need to check, obviously, that Lautaro is okay. I think he is. But I want to just triple check that Lautaro is likely to start that game. I know, obviously, we can still make subs and stuff, but I'd rather not be panicking about that day by day if possible. Handback, she's kind of just a a hole at the moment on the bench. Not too worried about that. But yeah, I'm reasonably happy. It's really hard to know, isn't it? This is the problem we've got. Like, it's really, really hard to know. So there are a couple of ones like Milinkovic-Savic where I'm like, well, I'm just going to stick with him throughout the 3 games.
Yeah.
Because if Serbia do bang, which they have big potential to do, that is the guy that pulls the strings, and that is the guy that will make things happen. So I'm going with him, and I'm just going to stick to this hunch that I've got that Serbia do have a good tournament and that he is one of the best players in his position in Europe. So why not?
I think I might go Milinkovic-Savic too. He's not in my team at the moment, but I've got a way of going from De Paul, who's a 5 million asset, and with one of my moves saving 2 million and therefore going Milinkovic-Savic. So that's a dilemma I've got. But I guess with Milinkovic-Savic, Dean, do you look at it and go, the Brazil fixture's so difficult match day 1. Do you book in a transfer and have another 7 million option in and then go, I'm going to definitely make that transfer, Milinkovic-Savic, but for the Cameroon game? But the dilemma there is one, you're bookmarking a transfer, which is never great. And 2, he could still score against Brazil. I guess a number 3. What's number 3? No, I did have a number 3. I can't think of number 3. There was a third option there. But yeah, the Brazil game, you expect Brazil to keep a clean sheet. But if Serbia score, he's involved.
Yeah, exactly that. So I'm going with him. And that's, look, I'm going on a bit more of a hunch in this game in general than I am in FPL this season. Obviously, I've had to take FPL more seriously because you're too good at it. But I'm hoping that you're not as good at this. So I'm hoping I can get by a little bit more just on like what I know about players and what I've seen of them, rather than exploring their actual like stats at this point, especially going into game 1. Like, further down the line, I'm going to have to start assessing like their form in the tournament, but like I'm not sure what their form coming into this tournament actually means. Someone mentioned on Jonathan David, what about their other forward? I presume they're talking about Carl Laren, who's the other, I guess, asset you might want from Canada as a forward. He is like I think he's their best goal scorer of all time, to be fair. But Jonathan David, I think, is the guy for right now. That's why I'm going with him.
Yeah. Michael Scott in the chat says match day 1 to 3 are all effectively free hits. As per the updated rules, you don't need to think about beyond 1 week. It's interesting, and we discussed it earlier in the stream. If you're wildcarding match day 2, then yeah, you're right. They effectively are all free hits. So maybe that. My problem is, Dean, is right in the middle of the deadlines. I am going to be in Qatar, and I'm not going to be at my laptop watching games. I'm going to be out and about on my phone. Probably at times won't have signal. At times I'll forget about fantasy. I'll just be enjoying the football, or I'll be working. I'll be busy. I'm not going to be able to be making, even at times, captain swaps and stuff for that like 5-6 days I'm away. Yes, literally, I go on the 24th, match day 2 deadlines on the 25th, and then match day 3 deadlines the 29th. I get back on the 30th. So literally, I'm going to miss those 2 deadlines and all that week. So I don't think I will be playing my wild card because I don't think I'll be able to maximize it or utilize all these rules. So look, I'm not taking it overly seriously this year. I'm here more for the vibes, chatting with you guys. And having.
And I think that's the general feel, isn't it, about this one? Like, it gives us a reason to have extra interest in the tournament. Like, we'll learn more about players that's going to help us, just our general knowledge of the game. And that's why I like to play other types of fantasy too. Like, I'm not doing it this year, but last year I did a Bundesliga one, and it was actually really helpful. I didn't take it anywhere near as seriously as the Premier League one, but it definitely helped my knowledge. And I think that's what we're all here for. It's a bit more fun. And the fact is that, like you say, there is a bigger possibility of missing a deadline here because the turnarounds are so tight. And you could easily forget that we've got into another game week. So, yeah, I'm totally with you. And that's why I'm trying to build a team that if I did fall into one of those situations, which even though I'm doing a show about this, is still possible, I could stick with them through the groups and still have faith that they're all going to play.
Yeah. That's the thing. You could make all these changes and go, this chip strategy could be really complex and you make tons of moves. But if you put together a good 15, it could just carry from. How many times do we look back in FPL and go, if we hadn't changed our team from game week 1, we'd be on more points? Oh, and it's game week 13 now, and I'm on fewer points than what I would be if I hadn't made any transfers or swapped the
So
captain.
many times.
Like, we see it all the time, right?
So many times.
So I might just play casually through the groups, and then look, I might be left with some extra chips to have a little bit more fun in the knockout, maybe. So let's see where we get to. But I like look at that 11. I like how rogue you've gone. The double England defense, I think, is a great move. Hakimi's an interesting shout. Attacking returns there. David could be at 6 million, the best 6 million option. So yeah, good team.
Yeah, potentially for sure. Yeah, that's true.
You set on Mbappe, captain.
I think so, yeah. I think Mbappe playing against Australia seems like an absolute no-brainer, to be honest with you. Talking about the best forwards we've ever seen up against Australia. And I'm sorry, but Australia just aren't very good, and I just can't see them handling him at all. If I wasn't to pick Mbappe, if it was...
Well, yeah, because you'll get two bites
because you can actually have two
Who'll
bites
be your
of
other
cherry.
one?
I didn't even check the order of all the other
Di
games.
Maria or De Bruyne, I guess.
I was going to say, do they play...
Whoever plays first, you just give the armband to.
The thing is, France, because France actually play after Argentina, so I'll probably have to switch that actually. So I'll probably whack it on Lautaro and then switch it. Hang on. They both play on the 22nd, but yeah, France play at 7 o'clock and Argentina play at 10 a.m. Can I do that?
Yeah,
you can. You can still do that
after the game. So you'll have like
Argentina can play at 10 a.m. Lautaro scores 1, and I've got like a little bit of time to decide whether I switch it onto Mbappe for the evening.
So yeah, let's go with Lautaro scores 1, maybe let's say get 2 goal involvements, and he clocks some other points. He gets a 9-pointer. Are you happy with a 9-pointer? Do you stick or twist? I think you stick with that, don't you?
I don't know, because he's playing Australia, and I'm thinking Mbappe gets a hat-trick against Australia.
Yeah, but he could get 2.
I know, but that's what I would be thinking. I know I would. I would be fancying him massively. Like, that's the problem I've got, and I probably still would end up switching. Like, unless Lautaro's like got a hat trick, and I'm like, happy days. Then I don't know what it would take for me to not pick Mbappe against Australia as my captain. I feel like this is like Erling Haaland playing against, I don't know, Nottingham Forest on the first day of the season at home. You know, like that's kind of how I would look at it.
Yeah. I feel that. Okay, well, Punter, we'll get to your question in a sec because I do have the guy you're talking about. So we'll ask Dean about that. But let's check out my team up next. And again, like Dean's gone for the back 4 there, 4-3-3, but obviously with substitutions, it'll be different. The way my team is set is that, yeah, I've got 5 defenders that play before the guys on the bench. But
this looks good, man.
Well, my big dilemma here is, look, I'm committed to backing a couple of teams and backing them fairly well. So at the moment, you'll see triple Netherlands. And by the way, Pasveer in goal should start, but that's no guarantee. But he is a 4.5 keeper. If you want to go cheap in goal, Pasveer and then Roche at Uruguay, who's 4 million, that could be a really nice combination. Though you're only going to get points from one of them. I do have Emi Martinez in goal on the bench because I do like the Argentina defense, but that's an extra 1.5 million on, say, Roche from Uruguay. So I might end up swapping that. The other big consideration I've got to make is, do I want Kane or do I want Messi? Whoever I don't have, I think has a really good chance of being my 12th man. And you see there, I've got Messi 12th man at the moment. But I could go Kane 12th man or just go Messi in my 11 and forget Kane. What do you guys reckon in the chat? Who's more valuable come match day 1 for my team? Is it Kane or is it Messi? Dean, you don't have either. What's your take on Kane? You think it's going to be a low-scoring group, do you? Good defenses in that group.
Yeah, I do think it could be a low-scoring group. I don't know. Kane hasn't been in great form, has he? Does take pens. Need to bear that in mind. Like, very high chance England get a pen against Iran, and he scores it. But Messi. The problem with Messi, like, I think back, I went at the Russia World Cup. I went to watch Messi, and he missed a penalty, and I just remember like everything around him in that game. And they played Iceland, and it was supposed to be a day when Messi just ran riot, like Adidas literally around the ground on the advertising boards. Adidas making a big thing of it. They had this new like goat thing. I can't remember exactly what the slogan was, but there was goats all around the pitch, and it was like Messi steps up to take this pen, and like the ball comes out and he misses it. As he does, like Messi can't be that trusted from the spot. And honestly, I think I'd probably go with Kane.
Yeah, would you?
I just don't. Yeah, I don't know. There's this just psychological thing that I've got with, and it all came together in that moment because I felt the edge inside the stadium. Like even though it was in Russia, it was just full of Argentina fans. Everyone had Messi on their shirt. Everyone was ready for it. But when he stepped up, it was like they knew he was going to miss. It was such a. It's just become this thing with him, and I'm like, oh, that's not good. It just felt really, really strange.
Yeah.
And so I've always remembered that, and I'm just like, oh, can I trust him? Like, I know there's this big narrative around the fact it's his last World Cup. He's going to win it. He's playing well now for PSG. But to be honest, I'm not that interested in picking him. I don't think I'll pick him for the whole tournament. Here he goes to win it. But at the moment, it wouldn't surprise me. Let's put it like that. It wouldn't surprise me if I didn't pick Messi at all, but let's see.
Leo Michael Jackson just mentions, but what about open play Messi? And you got a good point, Leo. And we could see them run right against Saudi Arabia from open play. But look, if
that's the thing. It depends how bad Saudi are.
You could see England score early against Iran. If they do, Kane then goes and gets, has a comfortable game and maybe clocks a couple of goals. It is a tough one. I do think the more I think about it since this stream started, I am perhaps looking at Messi. I am also tempted. I'm not going to lie. I didn't realize Darwin's price and I didn't realize how good Uruguay's group was. Knowing that first game for Uruguay's career, I might actually go Darwin and just boost somewhere else. My funds.
Not a bad shout. Yeah,
Fatty could go to a premium, for example. You notice on my bench, I've got one guy at 4 million. My third substitute, this is me writing a player off. This isn't someone that's going to play. This is the cheapest player in the game listed in midfield and going, do you know what? I'm going to play with a 14-man squad, not a 15-man squad. And I'm not sure if I'm going to do that. I don't know if that's naive, knowing we can make substitutions, or if I'm looking at it going, I'm expecting one of my starting 11 players to get a 3-pointer and I just keep him in and I don't substitute him out because I don't have that bench option. So maybe that's okay. I'm not sure yet. That could be boosted. Let's say I go Darwin and I make a few other changes. That could be boosted to a 6 million spot. And I do like Serbia. So I could go Kostic at 6 million for Serbia, or I could go Milenkovic-Savic if I could get to 7 million from that midfielder.
Interesting. Sugarbender says there's a 3.5 mid. Who's that?
I don't know if there is. Is there? Is there really? I thought there was a 3.5 defender. I didn't know there was a 3.5 mid. If there is, then I need to bank myself some money. Is there definitely? I'm gonna have to scroll through and confirm that.
Yeah, but Barney's just said it too.
Oh, there is one. He's so low on the website. It's like grayed out because it's fuzzy at the bottom of my screen. He plays for Saudi Arabia. His name is Al Maki, and because of it, he's the most picked
player in the game.
Yeah, he's 8% owned. Yet my guy there is only 0.4, isn't he?
Yeah.
Every day's a school day.
Absolutely. So you just made yourself a little bit of money there, mate.
Yeah, okay. So 8% of the game are going with my strategy there. Well, with a midfielder. Maybe a few have done it with forwards and defenders too.
So will that change your... Because that takes you up to $1 million budget now that you've got to play with. Will you leave that? Or do you bring in... Because that opens a door, really, for you to rearrange this.
The pool could go up to a better player. Again, like that Serbia midfield, Kostic maybe. So I'm not expecting attacking involvements from DePaul, but I just like him. And then maybe Fatty could be another one I boost somewhere. Elsewhere, I'm fairly happy with that 11. Like the defenders, I don't think I change any of them.
Your defense is great. You don't need to
I did want double England defense though, Dean. Would you go... Should I be going... I mean, I could go Luke Shaw, but I just think...
I guess Luke Shaw you could go
spoken Theo Hernandez up so much that I put him in...
No, don't switch from Theo. No.
I'll keep it as it is. I like that.
Keep it as it is. Yeah. Yeah, you're fine. And
then maybe I go Messi and maybe I go Darwin. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It's the foundations are in place. Yeah. I'm also thinking those two cheap goalkeepers, a 4 million starting goalkeeper for Uruguay, a 4.5 hopefully starting goalkeeper for the Netherlands. I feel like that should be our goalkeeper combo. You're only ever going to get points off one of them, but they can both have a go. You only need one of them to get a clean sheet. I feel like Rocher at 4 million. I didn't realize he was Uruguay's number one till about an hour ago. I feel like he has to go in.
Yeah.
He's played 8 of the last 9, I think. Rocher.
Really?
So he is nailed, the Uruguay keeper. Pasveer isn't nailed, but has played, I think, in the last couple.
Oh, right. That's quite interesting. So if you, with this 1.2 million, if you were to look for a forward, obviously you say you got Ansu 7.5, it would open the door for like Memphis.
Yeah, who's not going to play match day 1, but
Not going to play
match day
1,
2.
but like it's match day 2
I
might
could go
open
Darwin
the door
match day 1 and then switch to Memphis.
You could, yeah, and like that might be worth a shout. Like, see what happens with Ecuador too. But there's a chance that they are down in the dumps if they do lose to Qatar.
Oh yeah.
Netherlands will look to absolutely capitalize on that, and they could really eat them up. So, yeah, that wouldn't be a bad one to have at your sleeve.
If Ecuador do lose to Qatar, they'll see it as we can't qualify now.
Mate, I'm convinced.
Just too difficult.
Did you see the meme? The tweet yesterday, the fake tweet about the fact that 8 Ecuadorians have been bribed and Qatar win 1-0 and the goal is scored in the second half.
Yeah.
That's going to happen, isn't it? Because that, like, if that now happens, like, irrelevant of whether, like, that, how fake that tweet is, which I'm sure it is a fake tweet.
Yeah.
Like, that game, I'm just like,
so many would have backed that bet as well.
So many people are now doing that bet. It's like, you've just got to go for it because, like, why not? Like, and if it happens, like, we've got a potential, like, well, there'll be inquiry into it, no doubt, somewhere along the line, because it's just too funny, but too much of a coincidence. Who knows? But yeah, I can just see it happening now. Like, I'm prepared for it. Qatar are going to win the opening game 1-0. That happens. Yeah, Ecuador have got a big problem in hands. Ecuador are a decent team. Like, they're flying under the radar a bit, but Ecuador have got a few decent players in there, and certainly ones that
Moises
are
Caicedo from Brighton.
They got Moises Caicedo. One that stands out for me, Gonzalo Plata. He plays for Real Valladolid. He's a really exciting player. He's one of those that you just like want to watch, and the World Cup is like a platform for this. Like, he just runs at people. He's full of tricks. He's exciting. I haven't checked how much he actually is in the game, but in that first match, he stands out to me as one that might be one of those that suddenly is like trending by 7:00 on Sunday. Like, so yeah, Gonzalo Plata is somebody to look out for. I think Enner Valencia is the captain. Is that right? I think
yeah, that
so.
Rings a bell.
He's getting on a bit now, but
that is the Valencia from West Ham, was it?
He's got some pedigree in the game, obviously, but he's not that convincing. So yeah, they've got a few players.
They've kept a lot of clean sheets as well in qualifying. I think for their group, which is obviously qualifying in South America, if you come out of that South American region, there's good teams like Colombia and Peru didn't make it. Well, Ecuador's done well to qualify, and I think they kept a lot of cleanos.
Yeah, got obviously about 3 Brighton players in their squad, I think. Yeah, I think they've got 3 Brighton players in the squad. So, yeah, interesting one.
Yeah. Keep our eyes on that, guys. We're going to go next on to Against the Obvious. This is a little bit of fun. If you're new to the show, we do this every Friday, so let's check it out. Here we go. Oh, I'm up first. I've gone for do not pick Benzema. Here's 60 seconds worth of reasons why Benzema shouldn't be in your team. And I must admit, I haven't seen many drafts with him in. So 13% owned makes me think there's a lot of non-FPL players, probably a lot of French managers picking him. There's no doubt about his quality when he wears the white of Real Madrid or the blue of France. He does deliver. He's just not been fit this season. I think he's played 7 times for Real Madrid. Admittedly, in those 7 times, he has scored 5 goals. But I think the jury's out to how fit he is for this World Cup. And as times have moved on with France, this team has evolved. It was Griezmann's France. It was Benzema's France for a small period. It's definitely Mbappe's France now. And I think he's the main man. with or without Benzema in the team. I think Giroud and Mbappe is a really nice combination that will be perhaps out for match day one. There's a question mark over Benzema even playing match day one. It's a lot of money, 11 million. You can have players like Messi and Kane for around that price point, far more reliable for me. Yeah, easy swerve. If you go in France cover, it's got to be Mbappe.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty mad, really. I mean, Benzema's the best
Ballon d'Or winner.
Yes, Ballon d'Or winner, like one of the most consistent nines in world football, and back in the picture at France. But yeah, I haven't considered him, but maybe I will after he scores a hat trick in the opening game. So we'll have to wait and see. I bet people can probably guess where I'm going for this. I've already said in this thing I'm not having Messi. Now I'm saying I'm not having Ronaldo either. Yeah, it might be writing my way out of this game at this rate if I keep start ignoring all the goats in football. I'll be turning my back on people like Harry Kane next. But we'll see. For now, I'm gonna make my reasoning for why Cristiano Ronaldo isn't going to be the man. If this graphic doesn't reload, then don't worry about it. I can just talk. But okay, let's go. Okay, so Cristiano Ronaldo, look, if this World Cup had happened when it was supposed to, and it was a summer tournament, I'd probably fancy Cristiano Ronaldo to have a good one. As it stands, I don't. He's got 3 goals this season and over 1,000 minutes of football, like I talked about yesterday. He's not going to have 1,000 minutes of football in this tournament, so I don't fancy his chances of getting 3 goals across the tournament. He talked in his Piers Morgan interview about the fact that his form has come from a lack of motivation. He said, maybe I'm not as motivated as I'm used to be. I'm a human and I feel things. Maybe it's not the same as it was a few months ago, but I'm not having that. He's had 56 shots on goal this season and he scored 3 goals. I think he's not accepting that he's coming towards the end of his career. He can't accept that decline happens to everybody. And Cristiano Ronaldo is in decline. He'll score a goal at this tournament, probably be a penalty. I'm not picking him.
Fair. I'm with you there. I didn't realise that conversion rate. That is so poor. 3 from 50. That's
unbelievably bad. Yeah. It's unbelievably bad. And when you think back on the times when you've been watching him, like they've been quite isolated because he hasn't had like a run of games where it's happened in like Darwin Núñez situations where like this is highlights reel of miss after miss after miss. But like he'll have these games and like he'll miss reasonably good chances too, or like it just looks like he's having a bad luck. But they all collate, and then you're like, he's got 3 goals from 56 attempts. That's never, ever, ever happened to him in his entire life, including when he was like 3 or 4 years old, probably. So I saw Bruno Fernandes has played down the little spat that we've all seen.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
Did you see him? Yeah, he was like, no, we were just, it was just a bit of fun. Yeah. I haven't listened to it with sound. I wouldn't be able to understand it in sound, but that's what he says. It says there'll be no problem, but I'm sure there'll be a problem somewhere along the line. And Ronaldo's got a lot to prove at this tournament. Like to come out with that interview, he's ended his Man United career. Man United are about to sack him. They're gonna tear up his contract. He's done. So that's unbelievable, really, to prepare for that moment, decide that's how your career at Man United is going to end. You're going to come out in an interview, say stuff that there's no way back from. There's no way the club are going to have you back. They take legal advice. They're soon likely to be in a position where they decide, right, that's it. Your contract is terminated. He is able to look for a new club. Where's he going? What's he going to do? Who knows?
Mark says 3 in 55 or 53, as we mentioned. That's an errata rate.
Here's a little bit.
We've got a bit of time to answer your questions. Before we do, I'm just going to mention I've been tinkering with my team, as I mentioned, and as I said, that backline is going to stay the same. Very few positions up for grabs, just one of my budget mids, and then that striker spot. But I've just been looking. We haven't spoken about USA, Dean, and I know you've got a bit of a following out there. Christian Pulisic is 7.5. He is the main man in that USA team. I know he's not been playing well. I know USA have been dreadful for like the last year, but it is a World Cup. They are playing Wales and Iran, which are both winnable games. Again, against playing England, he'll know the players, Pulisic. I feel like that USA team in attack. I know Gio Reyna's got some quality, but Pulisic for me, he's on pens. He's the main man, right?
He is the main man. I mean, he's the only probably recognised player across the country. Probably, like, he's been around for such a long time.
Yeah.
Everyone who has even a vague interest in soccer out there knows about Christian Pulisic. Like, he made a £58 million transfer to Chelsea. Like, he was a big deal, and he's been a really good player too. Like, when he left Dortmund for Chelsea, it was a really big deal for him, and like, he's worked so hard to get to this moment. He's so motivated to make something special happen here because he feels the responsibility. He knows that all eyes are on him. But we've seen him at Chelsea, and that's why we're probably struggling to see him actually perform well at this World Cup. But I think you have to take it in isolation. Maybe look at it as in like how we look at Bale when he turns up for Wales. We might have to have that kind of mindset with it because, like, totally different environment, totally different feeling for him, totally different setup. The manager will speak to him differently, treat him differently. And he will also he'll want to just step up and prove himself. So I personally wouldn't pick him but no, I do think there'll come a moment in this World Cup that will belong to him because he's striving for it. Look, the US, they don't have a great squad, but I think they have a pretty good starting 11.
Yeah, I'm with you there. They do.
Like,
Like Aronson and McKennie, Tyler Adams.
yeah, the
Gio
midfield is
Reyna.
their so the midfield is their strongest. They call them the MMA, Musa, McKennie, and Adams, and they are going to fight, and they'll also play some good stuff along the way. So we can actually expect good things from them. I mean, there's always doubts about McKennie's fitness. At the moment, it's looking, I think, like he'll play the first game. But obviously, the second match against England is a big one for USA. They really, really want to compete in that one. Up front, now they don't have a goal scorer. They don't have a number 9. They've really, really struggled with finding one. They've used
Where's Josie Altidore?
5, 6. Yeah, I mean, they've tried so many people. At the moment, they're going with Jesus Ferreira, who he plays in MLS with FC Dallas, and he's good. He's young, and they're hoping that the rawness pays off. He's got, I think, 7 and 15 for USA, which is a good record. But you've got to remember, like, the teams he's playing against there compared to who you come up against in a World Cup and the difference in pressure. But he's a decent player. Obviously, they've got Gio Reyna. He's going to be exciting. Brendan Aronson will have a big role to play too. So they've got a decent 11, and I think personally that they'll get out of the group. I'm not just saying that because my wife's American and I want both to get through, but I do think they'll get out of the group. But I also feel like I haven't probably given Wales enough time. Wales are really confident and they're really optimistic about their chances. I don't think they're a particularly good football team, but I do think they've got like something about them that is a bit edgy and that a lot of nations won't have. Because as a team, they're fine. Like, I'm probably playing that down a bit. Like, they're perfectly better than at least 5-6 teams in this tournament. But they've also got something about them, and they've also now got a bit of recent history of actually making it through. So that could help them too.
I forgot about predictions, Dean. Let's go
What's
through
Bale, by the way?
quickly.
Sorry, just to go back. What's have you looked at Gareth Bale? What his price is in the game?
I think he's a forward, and I think he's around 7. Let's have a look now. He's expensive. Kiefer Moore's 6.5. Gareth Bale's 8.
Oh, he's 8. Okay, so he's not going to.
Yeah,
I'm not going to pick him at that.
Yeah,
because I think Bale will still do it. I still think he'll do it. He's like, this is what he lives for.
Yeah,
he doesn't care about money. He doesn't care about any of that stuff anymore. He didn't care about Real Madrid. Like, all he cares about is like this. And I think that this is going to be so big for him. And those first, all 3 games, obviously they've got England last, but like, I think in one of those first 2 games, something special is going to happen for Bale, especially after what he just done for LAFC and that late goal. Sorry, what were you going to say before I interrupted you?
No. Just I forgot we were going to do predictions. We got 5 minutes. We should do some very quick fire rather than go for our group winners and stuff. We'll just go, who are the 2 teams you fancy the most to win it, and then we'll do top goal scorer as well. So my 2 teams, my outside. And then we've got to do dark horses. Okay, so my outside shot to win it is Spain. My favourite to win it, who I actually think will win it. I do think Brazil. Like, I think they look amazing. But my outside dark horses to have a really good tournament is Serbia. I've got a real soft spot for that Serbian team. I think they're really good. So many Serie A players. And Golden Boot, it's a really tough one because I don't think Brazil will have a Golden Boot winner in there with Richarlison as the 9. I think Argentina will have a great run, but again, I'm not so sure around Martinez playing all those games as their number 9. So I'm going to go Mbappe because I think France still have a really good run. Again, Spain don't have that out-and-out 9 that will score goals, Morata, sorry. So I'm going to go Mbappe.
Okay, that's fair. I think a lot of mine might be the same here. I think Brazil will win it. I think they've got the same reasons I picked France to win the last one. I'm picking Brazil in this one. They are the favourites for a reason. They are brilliant. And if they perform in the way that they can, they will win the tournament. I think it's as simple as that. So Brazil are the favourites. The underdogs to win it are England. The Golden Boot winner, I think Kylian Mbappe too. I think a lot of it, though, does rest on this Australia game. Like I think he's going to haul in that game. So that's why I'm backing him to, get 5 goals in the group stages. And if he does
they're one
that,
in the group, aren't they? The Golden Boot winners. They're one by someone scoring a hat trick in a group and a couple more, and you got 5 before you even hit the knockout.
Exactly that. And what was the other one we were looking at?
Dark horses. Who you backing that will have a good run, not necessarily to win, but
Switzerland could again. Switzerland could. I mean, that group is tough. But Switzerland have got something annoying about them. And they're quite
whoever
good.
gets out that group with Brazil, whether it's Serbia or Switzerland, you kind of back.
Basically, I was going to say Serbia, but you'd already picked them, so I'm going to go with Switzerland.
Yeah. Any Netherlands? Do you think they could be? I mean, it's hard to call Netherlands dark horses because they're the Netherlands. They play total football. They've got pedigree throughout the squad. Netherlands could be a bit of a surprise package, I think. I don't know what it is about them. I don't know if it's the Louis van Gaal factor. Probably not.
They've got a lot going for them,
Yeah,
I guess the bounce back. They're back in a big tournament. They've actually got a decent team together. They've got players like Hakpo who are in form. Look, it's going to depend on Memphis needs to be fit. Frenkie needs to be fit if they're going to do anything. Virgil van Dijk needs to be in Virgil van Dijk form. But they've got a formation that they believe can work. And if they do start doing well, they're one of those teams that a lot of people start to root for because of, how the whole total football and the evolution of the game that's come through the Netherlands. Like people will start to back them too. So they are one of those countries that you kind of want to do well at a World Cup. It's like with Brazil or Argentina winning it. You want it to happen. Mexico go on a run too. Like I really want. There's a lot of negativity still around this World Cup. Still, I was talking to a couple of people today. I know, and they like football, and they're like, can't get excited about it. Like, I don't know how much of it I'll watch. I really, really want there to become some like positivity from the football aspect that actually gets us interested in it, and like. I hope all the other stuff is taken care of and that like all the issues are addressed. But I also want a good tournament here. And that happens if we get the big players and the big teams performing like they're supposed to. And that's what I want.
Yeah, I'm with you that. And I think we're going to get some really good quality football. Going to finish on our perhaps biggest, who could be the big team that flops, the biggest disappointment. I'm going to go Portugal.
I'm going to pick someone else. Uruguay.
Oh, nice. Darwin.
We've just built them up, so you got to knock them down right at the end.
Yeah. Good stuff, guys. It's been awesome watching and sort of chatting along with you in the chat. Some really good comments tonight as well. Good to see so many in the chat. If you have joined late, like go back and check it out from the start. Do also check out our stream we did yesterday. We did a Thursday night special where we did a preview on all the most favored 9 teams of the tournament. We did like 10 minutes per team. We looked at the suggested 11, but more importantly, we looked at the price points for all these players and picked the ones we should be looking at. We also looked at their fixtures. So do check that out. Earlier in tonight's stream, we've had a really good fixture difficulty rating, a fixture ticker for all the big teams. Check that out too. We've revealed our teams ahead of the deadline. We might make a few changes. We've spoken about chips. It's been fun, but we'll see you on the other side. But the next time you see us, will be during Matchday 1. I think we're going to be back before, we'll definitely be back before that Matchday 2 deadline. I think the plan loosely is the 23rd. So I think that's next Tuesday or Wednesday night.
Okay.
Although we might be seeing you before that. We'll double check. Do you make sure you're liking and subscribing and you'll get those notifications when we do stream. Check me and Dean out on Twitter. We'll post our teams as well before that match day one. Before you go, though, make sure you hit the like button. Only 22 likes so far. It's poor, that. It's because I've not been asking for it.
Yeah, haven't asked for it at all. CH isn't here. That's why.
Yeah, where is CH tonight?
Where is he?
Oh, he'll be back, I'm sure.
Given up. He's given up on us.
Yeah, good stuff, guys. But for now, he's been Dean, I've been Gianni, and we've been chasing World Cup Green Arrows.